I try to explain I'm on a carnivore diet, and that guy would shakes his head, no, like it's dangerous or something. One of these days, I'll sit down and try to explain.
Mike, how did you find Carnivore?
It's a long story, but I'll start. And my carnivore essentially began when I needed to wean myself off of any caffeinated sodas several years ago because I would after I drink couple of sodas, then if I don't drink anything the next day, I would just get a pounding headache in the back of my head. And that went on and on and on. And so until I finally kind of figured it out a bit. Uh, so I knew I needed to stop drinking sodas because sugary stuff is not good. Um, so what I had to do was drink less. And I was uh, I would drink one soda, and the next day I didn't get a headache. So that seemed to do the trick. Not getting the headache, I didn't want that. So I would drink one soda a week. Now we break it down to maybe every 2 weeks. Then I would just get longer and longer and longer. And so I get to the point where I just completely eliminate sodas, all caffeinated sodas. That was a real problem, and I just needed to get off my of the sugary stuff, knowing it's not good to drink these sodas. Um, I finally managed to wean myself off of caffeinated sodas, and I just drank water with lemon juices or frozen strawberries for flavor for about 2 years now. And that's one step towards my health freedom and not realize it. I just want to make apologies to all the people out there. I got a lot to unpack because I'm trying to get as much info out to people who may be deaf, hard of hearing, late deafened, CODA, children of deaf adult, and anyone who has deaf or hard of hearing family members or friends. Those are the people I'm trying to reach out to about their about the health benefits of eating meats and eggs and their experiences when it comes to carnivore dieting. It's not a dieting per se. It's a lifestyle. It's about personal health. Um, so as I was saying previously, I had these problems that presented itself in the past. It was called scintillating scotoma, which is stands for SS, which is like a visual migraine. It was like start in the corner of one of my eye. And couldn't tell which side it would start, and it would 10 to 15 minutes, which lasts, it's like gradually grow into a shimmering arc across my eye, my vision, because everything is happening in the brain, the visual cortex, not something that's physical in the eye itself. I would see it coming, uh, and the visual pattern would gradually expand and then slowly fade away, and 15 minutes later or something like that. The first time when it happened, I've never experienced it. It happened, and it just made me feel sick, nauseated, because it was my first experience. Then had like maybe 2 or 3 episodes, maybe more of that experience, and it just made me feel sick. After that, I would see it coming, then I just know it's coming. It's gonna last 15 minutes at most, maybe. And I would get this scintillating scotoma. And I read an article about scintillating scotoma one time. It mentioned about chocolate candies, for example. and explained that one of the triggers could be chocolate, could be food allergies, could be stress, could be something else. So when I read that article, I tested again by not eating chocolate for 3 months. After 3 months, I tried some chocolate, and then the next day I'd get skin laid scotoma. So I figured that was the trigger. So I tried to test myself again, just not eat chocolate for a month, then ate a chocolate, then I get this SS, skin laid scotoma. I thought I found my trigger of SS, or so I thought. I thought it was that, um, and I'll explain more of that later because I began eating meat not too long ago, and had I've been in ketosis for about 5 weeks, and found out that salt, such as ungrinded Himalayan salt on my grilled meat, was giving me the SS symptoms because I was eating too much salt, which is why you have to grind to get the small amount of salt on your steak or whatever beef or meat you're eating. And that just happened not too recently. We're talking about maybe 2 weeks ago. And I just thought about it. So it must be the sugar and the salt because both the sugar and salt provide the what you call the osmotic effect, essentially acting like a sponge that pulls up the water into your blood, creating increased blood pressure in the blood vessel. So that's in the brain with all the blood pressure increased because of the osmotic effect. So that's some of the stuff I learned. This is very recent stuff. I thought it was just chocolate, which was the only issue because I was on a carnivore diet and not eating anything else. So that salt was a signal that I'm prone to skin-related scotoma, not just chocolate alone. Just can't have sugar and salt at the same time, so that could cause me some problems. Anyway, in 2013, I had my kidney stone come out and had it assayed. It was 90% calcium oxalate, which was my first introduction on oxalate. And my knowledge about oxalate grew to with to understand every vegetable fruit contained oxalate. I'm trying to grow some garden with beans and green beans and grapes and corn, all that oxalate. I'm oxalate sensitive. Same thing as my mother and father both had kidney stone. I learned on years later after 2013. Um, my father was a bit more, he suffered more. He not only had kidney stone, it traveled down and into his bladder. It became bladder stone. It was like too big. He couldn't get it out, so it had surgery done to get it out. Luckily for me, mine just passed. It was small enough not to cause problem in my bladder. So that's one of the things I've learned about. My mother had kidney stone. My father had kidney stone, and my youngest daughter also had kidney stones. Probably almost a month ago, uh, on a vacation a month ago, going down to Florida, and so it seems to carry on in our family genetics, and but anyway, a lot of bit of discoveries along the way through reading, through my own experiences, my family members. Anyway, when I got on my carnivore diet, And I used to have this, what you call keto flu, that lasted a few weeks or so in the beginning of my carnivore diet. Sometimes it was there were trial and errors on eating carnivore diet. One of them was table grapes. I would like eat 5 or 6 table grapes, a couple of raisins. I've learned it was enough just to kick me out of ketosis. I could feel my energy just change for the next 4 or 5 days. I had to like rebuild up my ketosis. Doing that, um, I was taking blood pressure medication at the time. That was not helping me at all. My energy low. I felt fatigue, caused my blood pressure caused me to dip into like the mid 90s, for example. It was even at 62, 92 over 62, and instead of keeping me around 115, because I was already losing weight. Um, Exercising at the same. I love to exercise. I've done exercise growing up. I was a very active kid growing up. Did a lot of exercise, weightlifting, things like that. So the fatigue just continued on for about another 2 weeks with the blood pressure medication, and I've learned that once you get off carbs, you start shedding weight. And it's absolutely true about the people who learn about getting off the carbs, start eating the meat for the nutrients, not miss out any nutrients that you may be lacking. People may tout about um, vegetables. You need to eat your vegetables. Learn about it doesn't matter about the fiber. In fact, when I ate my meat, I've learned that eating the meat, you basically absorb most of the meat, the fat, things like that. Um, we're talking about, I think, like 90% was absorbed in the intestine, and things like that. Um, I just find bits and pieces of information and learn from it. So I want to try and reach out to a lot of deaf and hard of hearing people who don't have the luxury of sitting down and listen to these podcasts, um, audible podcasts. There are some deaf or hard of hearing people who have that ability. Most of them don't do not. They prefer sign language podcast, whatever in sign language, or just signing.
When did you get started with carnivore?
Oh, that was July 28th, 2023, 2024, this year. Yeah, it just went out to Costco, bought a whole bunch of meat and salmon, and decided I got to get started because I'm not going to mess with oxalate anymore. I told my wife I'm oxalate sensitive, so I'm getting on this carnivore diet, whether you like it or not. I try to be respectful of her about her concerns. A lot of this concern evolves around, oh, you're eating too much eggs, you're eating too much meat, don't eat the ribeye, like the doctor said when I explained I'm going to be eating a lot more meat. He like warned me not to eat ribeye. So I was like, what the heck? Like, I don't know what the I knew for he didn't know his nutrition at all when he said that. He's, he's just a doctor parroting words. That's all he was doing. He was showing, oh, you have a concern. No, there's no need to worry about saturated fat or cholesterol. None of those. We need the cholesterol because our body depends on it. Our hormones, all 50 hormones, depend on it. Um, People just don't understand that. the value of eating meat, whether it's red meat or sheep or lamb or fish or seafood, whatever. People in Japan, like they were like rated as being the healthiest. I knew about that for a while because they just like eat seafoods all kinds. But I was so much better health without my blood pressure medicines. It was just giving me trouble. And right now, I no longer take my BP blood pressure medication because what I'm doing, eating the meat based meals with eggs and water and exercise. I've been keeping track of my blood pressure. I have a cuff and I would measure it on my right arm and be around 100 to 120, something like that. It could be 115, something like that. I consistently in that range. Uh, my ability to recover from exercising my treadmill, it shows in my it shows on my blood pressure results. Say after 30-minute treadmill work, it will be at 135. I rest maybe 5-10 minutes. It will come down back to normal.
So has your wife shown any interest in this?
Not really, because this is all scientific stuff. Um, this is probably what part of my dopamine, no, it triggers my dopamine because you get to learn all this stuff. When you're in that learning environment, you want to sit down and just learn. You can't just tell it to anybody, somebody else, unless they have an interest on, oh, I need to lose, I'm 300 pound overweight. How can I lose? Well, I'll tell you how. Eat meat. So some people are like, oh no, no, it's bad. Saturated fat is bad for you. Cholesterol is bad for you. And I'll say, okay, show me the article or something. Show me something that says that. People cannot do that and show it's bad. It has a lot of health benefit eating meat. That's what I've learned over this year, past couple of years. Not past couple of years, but last year when I first started to watch the doctors on YouTube and Shafee, Baker, etc. Um, yeah, so that caused me to go in and start digging around on the internet. It's just not using Google search, but using other search engine. Just look around and some keywords I'm looking for specifically. Look for specific studies, um, even studies like how the sugar industry really messed up big time about the danger of saturated fat and cholesterol with Ansel Keys in the mix. Uh, it's just like paying off 3 professors to make these false, you know, study saying saturated fats and cholesterol are bad for you in so many words. And that just got away from us, got away from people. So they just looked at them as being the authority when they're not. Just all about money and influence and all that stuff. Just really makes people sick, not just people, but me, knowing, for example, the deaf people out there, I don't want to cast any aspersion towards deaf people and the knowledge of medical knowledge, for example, because for some people, it takes a lot of effort to sit down to understand how measure HbA1c, for example, things like that. Various health related questions, concerns. You just have to sit down. Essentially, you have to become your own doctor. Um, and that's what I had to do because I'm out here to try and gain as much experience and knowledge as possible. Because when I go out and talk to deaf and hard of hearing people, um, at least I can get to the point where instead of saying I believe, but I know, to know something takes effort and time to do all that, which is what I'm trying to do. I'm right now into 50-day plus of my carnivore diet. And so I got probably maybe another month to go, hopefully to see the full effect. I don't know, it'll be a full effect. I've heard in some cases where Anthony Shafee talked about how he heard that some people did not get that energy, at a certain time. For some, it would take 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, even a whole year until they reach that point. Um, it could be that for me. I don't know. Each body is different. Each person is different how they respond, and only your body is intelligent. It knows what it needs to do. Just need to eat the right stuff, not junky stuff, not all those things. Uh, Eat the meat and drink water, and your body will take care of yourself. And so that's what I'm trying to do. Try to get the best experience out of my carnivore dieting. It's not dieting, it's a lifestyle choice,
Mm.
basically.
So, day to day, how are you eating?
How I'm eating, um, I would eat like red meat, chicken, sometimes salmon if I want to splurge a little bit more. Um, Lots of eggs. Eggs are basically cheap compared to ribeye or whatever. Um, and just grill them on my grill in my backyard. And so that's what I do. I don't drink dairy. I may have a quick little mozzarella cheese, like a snack. I'll have that once in a while with my eggs, scrambled eggs, melted mozzarella cheese. But I don't add anything else other than diced beef, for example. Take it out of my refrigerator, dice them up, put it with my scrambled egg, and add my calories, nutrients with my beef. So that's what I do. That's basically it. No, nothing mysterious or complication about eating meat. People would say like it's boring eating same stuff over and over, but it's not. You can diversify. There's people that who have eaten meat of that kind was able to preserve meat or dry age the beef or whatever as a method of preservation. People have done that for decades, uh, for years and years. In fact, I got a book about that, about the old time, how people preserve their foods and things like that, canning, things like that, but not vegetable canning, since I know too much about oxalates, so I can't have that anymore.
Has anyone shown interest in what you're doing around you?
Um, my mother, yes, some interest. But she just listened to me when I talked to her once in a while. My father, he was like, "Oh, be careful." When the people start using languages like that, oh, be careful. Um, um, It's just that old myth about saturated fat and cholesterol. Once you start reading into it and understand uh, about other people who talked about the cholesterol, for example, and what it does for you, cholesterol is on in your skin, is antibacterial, for example. Um, you need to have cholesterol for your hormones, all kinds of hormones, whether it's cortisone or sex hormones or whatever. Just like over 50 of those for each for for the male and female side. And so I even some people that I know of who are closer to me. I try to explain I'm on a carnivore diet, and that guy would shakes his head, no, like it's dangerous or something. One of these days, I'll sit down and try to explain. Hopefully, he'll, with enough common sense, and not let the something scare you away.
What's the number one thing that keeps you doing this?
The number one thing to keep doing it, see the results. I want to see the results. What it's like 3 months in, whether it's 30, 60, 90 days, whatever. People been on it for like a year, 2 years, whatever. And it didn't hurt those people at all. Seeing uh, women in their 80s with their strong arm, muscles, their 80s, something like that. Uh, that's so sort of like, something I could, aspire to. For example, because I work out in the country, I chop my own trees for firewood to get it ready for the winter. So I got to get that going pretty soon and start chopping the wood and the tree and do that. I just do that every year and just get it ready. And I just want to have that energy level, raise it up, knowing what ketone does to your body, learning about that. That's one of the things that really interests me because once you have ketone, it's not what you call non-fermentable fuel for your mitochondria. And once you learn that, that makes it very hard for the cancer cell to run on those type of fuel because the preferred fuel is glucose. You can get out a lot of these health conditions, whether it's psoriasis, whether it's diabetes. I know people, deaf people with diabetes, type 2 diabetes. I know deaf people who have Lyme disease. I know deaf people who have lost their loved one because of glioblastoma, things like that. So I'm trying to reach out to those people someday. I just need to build up my contact list and start reaching out one of these days. And that's my goal. I'm trying to aspire to that because deaf people are not apt to really sit down and learn the medical lingo, the medical terminologies. Uh, it's very confusing to read, to understand about medical science, for example. And so that's one of the reasons I want to reach out to people who are hearing, for example, who are coda children of deaf adult, and they tend to know sign language, for example. Those are good people to reach out to about and just talk to them about the benefits of eating carnivore or ketogenic diet, the benefits of eating meat. Because I would like to reach out to those people. Those are people that could gradually hook up with deaf people because those deaf people they tend to be sometimes end up being interpreters, sign language interpreters. They would tend to end up as one, not just because they are coda. They will be interpreters. All of them don't become interpreters. My daughter, no, it doesn't do that. Even though she does sign some, So I would like to try to reach out to the Dakotas and get going somehow.
Yeah. So just to clarify for the audience, so um, we are talking to each other now. Are you deaf, partially deaf, hard of hearing?
I was born with a hearing loss. I am deaf. I'm legally deaf in both ears. The story was I had in my first trimester um, got a German measles. Um, so, oh, not German measles, but rubella. It was called, I was one of the, what you call rubella babies, which was pretty prevalent in the Northwest area, Washington, Oregon. We had a lot of those babies getting rubella during the 60s. That one of the condition of getting rubella is hearing loss, blindness, or mental retardation. And so I lucked out of the two. I could have ended up, either, either of those. And, yeah, so I got my deafness was attributed to rubella. Um, and at about age of 2 years old, my mother noticed I, I was putting my ear down on a vacuum cleaner so I can hear it. And she realized that I couldn't hear very well. So she took me to the doctor. I call doctor. They weren't a doctor at the time. Um, um, Certainly not ear doctors. Um, Audiologists. That guy um, told my mother to get a hearing aid for it was supposed to go to my right ear, but it ended up on my left ear, which was the deafer side. I cannot confer any useful benefit wearing a hearing aid on my left side because it's basically deaf. So after like a year later, by the time it was age 3, put it noticed the mistake, put it in the right ear in my hearing aid in my right ear. It was one of those a box hearing aid around the chest, strings around like here. Probably seen one of those. Pretty embarrassing for a lot of people to have lived through that, to wear that sort of thing. But nowadays, you just have the microphone with Wi-Fi connected to my hearing aid, so I can hear you or to hear the YouTube channels, for example. I use it all the time.
Wow. And is so what is your message to people who may be hard of hearing or deaf?
I would say use the YouTube. The people such as Ken Berry, look up Ken Berry, Sean Baker, Thomas Seyfried, Anthony Shafee, Robert Kiltz, Ben Bickman are really great on YouTube. And YouTube has a what you call a closed caption button. You can click on it. You can see all the closed captioning, although it's not 100% perfect. I would say most of the recording would be maybe 90% effective. I guess it's better than nothing, missing out completely. Um, I would say please take the time, start looking at Ken Berry, probably the easiest to follow and understand. He has a way of putting into words. Um, and just take your time, learn the medical language, learn what diabetes does to your body, see what diabetes, understand that diabetes is completely 100% reversible. Type 2 diabetes, a lot of people don't realize that. I can just imagine a number of deaf people out there with type 2 diabetes not getting the full information, especially eating meat, how it can like completely reversible. And if they understand that, they would not have these expensive medication, things like that, complication, losing a foot, arm, your hand, whatever. Those are awful stuff. People losing bits and pieces of your own self. Um, I just can't imagine that.
Yeah, it's important to yeah, it's important to take take control of the diabetes, right?
Yeah, take control of it as soon as you can. Um, don't worry about the naysayers about because it's saturated fat or anything like cholesterol. Once you start looking into it, seriously start looking into it, do the research, get down, get that information, meet up with other people who are maybe perhaps more knowledgeable about those areas. Ask them, join like Ken Berry, leave a couple of questions, things like that. Just start doing that. Just build up your knowledge base. That's which knowledge is power. Once you understand, and it's not about believing something. It's about knowing your stuff. Once you know something, it works, and you experienced it. If you have certain chronic condition and you try the carnivore diet and it seemed to work, and you get your blood lipid panel blood test, and if you go get that information, even if it's just a little bit of money, that's valuable information. Getting the blood test done, because that information is just about your health. You understand all that, and then you have this nice, warm, fuzzy feeling knowing that you have that knowledge. And if you ever meet somebody, for example, about cancer, if you heard about Thomas Seyfried, for example, good example about the mitochondria, about ketones, about the non-fermentable fuels versus fermentable fuel, glucose. Um, Two different things. And unless the unless somehow the cancer cells get a hold of a glutamine, for example, can convert that with small amount of glucose. It's not like getting full glucose, at least enough just to survive basically on fumes for the cancer cell. Once you understand all that about ketones, about mitochondria and how it works and when it comes to fuels, and you break it down and get ketones, realizing once you get into ketosis, running on ketones, you're conferring about 1 gram of fat, which is the ketones, you'll get you net you like 9 kilocalories versus glucose, which is 1 out of 4. 1 gram of glucose will get you 4 kilocalories. So once you understand that, so you also get new mitochondria built up. So that's what I'm trying to do as I get into ketosis, slowly build up on myself on that. And you learn certain things like from, if you heard of Dr. Nathan Bryan about nitric oxide, that's some powerful stuff right there. He told people who take mouthwash, or mouthwash is antiseptic, and it kills all the bacteria in your gut. All that gut, it goes down into your gut. That destroys it too. And once you understand that, don't take mouthwashes. Don't brush your teeth. You know, brush your teeth. If you go and look on the back of the label, toothpaste, and it says fluoride, and it'll give a warning label. If you ever accidentally swallow fluoride, please contact poison control. And when I first read that, I was like, what the? Why are we doing that? This is basically, it's a neurotoxin. It was used as rat poison back in the day. And once you start learning about that stuff, I'm getting a different toothpaste. And I told my wife about it. She was like, look at the label. See, it says fluoride. It says warning, contact poison control. That's enough. And so it makes you realize how much we're easily fooled about these things.
So, Mike, if people want to reach out to you, do you have any social media or any way of getting in contact?
Well, yeah, they can contact me at um, my carry story two, number two at gmail.com.
No, no problem. So I'll link to your email in the show notes.
Okay.
Mike, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your story. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for inviting me on this. Like I said, there was a lot to unpack. I'm hoping to learn a lot more as I continue with this journey.